Welcome back to the Top Lawyer series by The Lawyer Africa. My name is Efi Joanna Tieno, and on this second episode, we have the Advocate of the High Court, Peter Wanyama, who is a legal specialist in various sectors, and he'll tell us more about that. But his firm is very diverse, and today we can't wait to catch up with him and just have a glimpse into him as a person, not just a lawyer, and his firm as well. So welcome on this journey with me. Hi, Peter.
Hi, and welcome to our farm.
Thank you so much.
Asante.
Yeah, your farm is very beautiful, if I must say, from the entrance, and the reception was very warm, so kudos to your team. Maybe you can just
Thank you.
Start by introducing yourself a little bit to our audience.
Yeah. First of all, thank you very much for coming, and it's my pleasure to host you today here. My name is Peter Wanyama. I am an advocate. I've been in practice for 15.9 years. And it's been an interesting journey, and I'm happy to be here today, gunning for Law Society of Kenya President. Yeah. After the 15 years experience. So I was born in Bungoma 43 years ago. Went to school again in Bungoma County. I went to secondary school in Bungoma, then Moi University, and then I joined legal practice after passing through Kenya School of Law training in 2007. So a little bit distinctive about my schooling is that I went to 9 primary schools in Bungoma County, and there's a reason for that.
I was about to ask why.
The reason is that we were victims of tribal clashes in Mount Elgon in 1992. So we were evicted from our home, and we were moving from one home to another home, being hosted by friends, and it explains why then I was moving schools every time in Bungoma. And then another distinctive thing about my schooling is that I went to high school for only 3 years as opposed to 4. I dropped out of school in 1997, but instead of going back to repeat, I decided to proceed to the next class. So in the next class, I was reading for what I had missed, and to cover it up, which I successfully did. And then passed my KCSE.
Must have been hectic. I can't even imagine.
Yeah,
Wow.
It was hectic, but you have to soldier on. The same spirit that we bring to the law firm.
Thank you so much. That gives us a little bit of a glimpse on who Peter Wanyama is and how you got to where you are right now.
Yes,
so maybe you can just tell us a little bit about your career and the firm specifically, Manyonge Wanyama, and how it came to be, and maybe the composition of the firm and the areas of practice.
Yeah, Manyonge Wanyama and Associates LLP. I formed this law firm after a stint at Mohammed Muigai, where I did my initial training, and then I was employed. So I formed the law firm. I registered it in 2010, but fully operationalized it in 2012.
Okay.
The reason is that it's a capitalist economy. When you come out of employment and you want to form your own business, there are challenges that you'll experience. People don't know you. So you have to plant seeds for professional growth and development. You must be capable of sustaining yourself in terms of expenses. That means offering yourself to the market. So it took me 2 years to settle down. Sometimes you'll sit in the office and you wonder, where am I going to get my next brief? How am I going to pay the expenses? But the spirit is not to give up, and that's what I did. I ventured out. But for me to rise up the legal profession very quickly, I had to venture into an emerging area of practice, that is policy and legislative development, which gave me the background to also venture later on into devolution litigation and policy and legislative advisory work to county governments and institutions which work in the policy sector, because it's the sector, there's a dearth there are not so many lawyers in the sector, so it's very easy for you to fit in. So since then, I've repositioned my law firm to be a law firm that specializes in policy and legislative development. But now, when people give you work, sometimes you don't choose. So increasingly, they have now been giving us work in litigation, where we always do our best to ensure that our clients don't lose cases. Our success rate is 98%.
Wow. Okay, that's commendable.
Yeah.
And I think you've created a niche for yourself in the policy development space and also litigation, because I think personally, being in law school, I think I knew most of your work from litigation. You know, most of the people in policy development, the work is never really out there by your name. Like, we'll just know behind the scenes someone, ABCD, worked on them. So maybe what would you consider as the highlight of your career so far? Because you've had quite a stint in litigation, you've done also a lot in policy development and legal compliance. So what would you say is your highlight so far?
I think something which I considered and probably proud of is really having participated in the development of jurisprudence for devolution. Between 2013 and 2017, I was retained by the Council of Governors to advise them on policy and legislative issues, but they also asked me to work on key litigation cases for county governments, litigation to deepen the devolution space. Remember, devolution was new, and people, national government officers, most of them were not keen to implement it. So we had to file cases all over for constitutional interpretation on the law of devolution, which somehow strengthened the jurisprudence on devolution in our case law. So that is an important highlight of my professional career, and I consider it to be a major one.
Interesting. I think just from this conversation, you seem to have done a lot of work with governors and people in the political space. So, any political ambitions?
No political ambition.
Why not?
I'm not a paper pusher. Because politicians, if you're a paper pusher, I'm a thinker in the context of I want to solve problems. I want people to give me problems. I don't want to be in that setting where I don't contribute meaningfully to issues. So I want to contribute meaningfully to issues by resolving people's problems. And I believe my future is in legal practice, not in politics. Because in politics, when you go in, our politics is not that structured well. For all of us know, politicians are what we call purveyors of irredentist ideologies. You go to parliament, you don't want to be there if you really don't want to be there. So myself, my future is in legal practice, and I'll continue practicing law and mentoring younger lawyers. Okay,
just circling back on that, what would you consider, because you're one of the very successful lawyers in this country by all measures, what would you consider as the recipe for success for a lawyer, especially for those young lawyers, some who just left their jobs like you did and want to venture out on their own, or even consider going into emerging areas? What would you say is that recipe for success that they should consider?
Yeah, I don't consider myself a successful lawyer, but at least I have been able to, what I have done is be able to contribute a little bit to jurisprudence, policy and legislative development and case law and all that. My advice to the younger legal practitioners is that you don't sit on your potential. Remember, the economy is capitalist, the way I said earlier. And for you to succeed, the economy is looking for someone who is distinctive, someone who can offer that service. So one of the key and fundamental attributes for any young lawyer is not giving up. And remember that there are many of us in the profession. So the best way is to be distinctive. You will become distinctive by you improve the quality of your speech, you improve the quality of your writing. That means that if you are a litigation lawyer, you will definitely have to write pleadings well, and you have to do advocacy well, so that you are distinctive and people will notice you and help you to grow by giving you work. So the legal profession is up for grabs. Let's not give up. What we need to do is also, apart from being distinctive, we need to be imaginative and really understand the way law fits within the societal context, how law contributes to our socioeconomic and political development, and the emerging areas of legal practice which we need to fit in. Like in policy, if you're into policy and legislative development, you will find that there are many sectors, subsectors which you can fit in as a young lawyer. They are craving for lawyers. They are asking where are the lawyers to advise us on these issues. But lawyers, because we are on the traditional areas of practice, like litigation and commercial law, we don't venture out. Lawyers are needed in the field of food safety. To bring food from the farm to the table, there are so many regulatory issues that lawyers need to know. lawyers are needed in that sector. Lawyers are needed in the agricultural sector. Lawyers who understand the agricultural value chain. Lawyers who understand the cooperative enterprise development. Lawyers who understand policy and legislative issues in the health sector. Lawyers who understand how to navigate the terrain of trade development. And lawyers who are able to generally fit in, like now there are issues about climate change, which are emerging, and they are cross-cutting. So the point is, if you're able to create a niche in any of those sectors, you will definitely survive and prosper and grow. And how do you create a niche? You start by developing an interest. Yeah, and then you develop strategies later on of pushing that interest forward.
Okay, so just a little bit back to the farm.
Yeah.
So your farm seems to cover a lot of, a wide area of practice.
Yeah.
What would you say is that specific areas of practice, or the core areas of practice for the farm? Because I think you do more than just litigation and policy work. So what are some of the areas that you practice as a firm, and what are your niche areas, or rather the core areas of practice for the firm? Yeah,
where we've reached now is that our law firm is now known for, and we have very many files on this, on constitutional petitions. Yeah, we draft pleadings, constitutional pleadings well, and therefore our clients have trusted us to take on board very interesting petitions, and in nearly all the sectors. During election time, we do so many election petitions. But broadly, we do election petitions in employment law. We do election petitions on thematic areas in the Constitution whenever a dispute arises. And I believe we are the only law firm to have filed a case to question the constitutionality of what is happening at Bomas. We want everything done properly so that politicians don't amend the Constitution to push their self-interest as opposed to the interest of the Mwananchi. So we do a lot of constitutional petitions. In between, there is policy and legislative work that sometimes we get instructed and we work on. But dominantly on a day-to-day basis, we will be drafting petitions from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Okay, so like you said yourself, the law is, there are so many people in this field, and it's a very competitive landscape. So how does your firm and you yourself set yourself apart from the others in this market, both in Kenya and East Africa?
Yeah, what we do ourselves is to be distinctive. Distinctive means the quality of drafting that we do shall be top-notch. The quality of advocacy that we do for our clients shall also be top-notch. So we work as a team within the law firm, young and senior lawyers, to polish a document. We look at the language of a pleading. We don't want to make simple and basic mistakes in a pleading. So these small and little things that we do in terms of drafting of pleadings, in terms of advocacy, in terms of case preparation, sometimes go an extra mile to give you mileage in the minds of persons who perceive you, so that you didn't develop a reputation. So that is the only way out for us, and we want to perfect it. So being distinctive is part and parcel of our practice as a law firm, and we want to ensure that we continue doing what we do best. Adam Smith, the Scottish philosopher, said in his Wealth of Nations, do your best and you tread for the rest. So we must really do our best. We tread for the rest through strategic networking with colleagues, etc.
Okay, that's interesting. So just a little bit on that, as the managing partner or the team leader for this firm, what is your vision? Because I don't think in your wildest imagination would you have thought, when you were in school going through those nine schools, you would have thought you'd be here right now. And now that you have that clarity of vision and what you're doing as a firm, what is your vision for the future? Where do you see your firm maybe in the next 5 or 10 years?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. In the next 5 to 10 years, we want to reposition our law firm to serve the increasingly dynamic global community. The global community that is concerned about government regulation, a global community that is concerned about climate change, and a global community that is concerned about the role of law generally in the socio-economic and political development. So we want to be at the center stage of that practice, because we believe the practice is going to open up. For example, in the next 5 years, there are going to be so many technological developments. For example, the entry of metaverse, artificial intelligence. So you must be able to fit in. You must be able to be in this particular office, and you sign into a metaverse account, and you're conversing with a client in New York. So the future of legal practice will depend with the ability to fit in. So we are repositioning our law firm to fit in in that context. So in the next 5 to 10 years, we will see ourselves more in terms of creating that strategic dominance in fitting in within the emerging areas of legal practice, especially climate change, which I have an interest in, and it's really emerging. In fact, we want to start climate change litigation like yesterday.
Okay, it's really nice to see a law firm moving away from the archaic legal practice of pen and paper. Now you're talking about metaverse and all that, and I think that's something especially young lawyers should really consider, because we are really moving away from the typical what law used to be previously in the past 15 years. So anyway, your law firm has also been involved in a lot of work promoting legal education in your work together with the Law Society of Kenya and the Kenya School of Law. So maybe tell us a little bit about that and what motivated you to go into that direction, because you seem to have a keen interest in young lawyers especially, and the legal education in general.
Yeah, myself have been doing structured mentorship. Mentorship really is helping also the ones who are coming into the profession, holding their hand, showing them the way up, and offering strategic guidance here and there. So we've been doing that guidance in terms of intellectual capacity building. We help them to acquire knowledge on litigation, acquire knowledge on emerging areas of legal practice, and we do that through presentations, in seminars. At Kenya School of Law, I am the one. I actually started some of the courses for their CPD program. When they were setting up their CPD program, they involved me, and we set up those courses. We made quite a number of presentations on legal audit, privatization, securitization, legal aspects of corporate finance, etc., for the School of Law program. And we believe that we were able to plant the seed for the CPD program. For the Law Society of Kenya, again, just increasingly in being involved in making presentations on emerging themes in constitutional litigation and compliance, how to prosecute and defend an impeachment case, how to argue a case, what's a structural interdict order in the context of a petition, how do you draft a complete petition, how do you win a case, and how do you sometimes be strategic in litigation so that you achieve the objectives that you want to achieve. So we do that structured mentorship for advocates, and we've been doing that for advocates since 2013, and we'll continue doing that because it's part of giving back. Giving back, we have to contribute in a way to humanity. And that's how do you contribute to humanity? You show a colleague pathways on getting the fish.
Okay. Now, just on that topic again, you currently are running for the president of the Law Society of Kenya.
Yes,
so maybe you can just tell us a little bit about that. What motivated you to run for this particular office? What is your vision for the Law Society of Kenya?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, it picks up, the reason why I am running for LSK president, it picks up from what I've just said, contributing to the humanity. Myself, I believe I've reached at a level of professional growth and development where I need to spread out. Spread out means I need to have some meaningful impact. And to me, helping others in terms of offering strategic leadership is something which makes me happy. It is importantly redemptive and satisfies my soul. So I am running for LSK, Law Society of Kenya president, with the singular objective of making the legal profession better, making the legal profession to be prestigious, making the legal profession to be one, because right now there's quite a challenge because there are many young lawyers who feel disenfranchised, They feel left out of the legal profession. They feel that the legal system is closed, and then you have now the legal system itself, the legal profession. We are not doing enough to create that platform for structured engagement so that young lawyers feel part and parcel of the legal profession. So there's an obligation we want to point out for the mid-bar. Tell the mid-bar that we can deepen legal practice and create more opportunities. Tell the young lawyers that these opportunities are for you to embrace and change. And for the senior lawyers that we can create one from the shackles of problems that sometimes afflict our profession, so that we have a one and prestigious profession. And the easiest entry point to then achieve that objective is to embrace progressive ideas. Ensuring that the Law Society of Kenya picks up progressive ideas. How do we reposition ourselves to the eyes of the global community so that we are ahead of the Nigerians and the South African lawyers, the best, even on perception. Remember that Kenya is increasingly, from a socioeconomic perspective, doing so many projects, and we are at the center stage of arbitration, regional arbitration. International companies want to form, to set up branches in Kenya. You have Microsoft, Google, etc. So as Kenya attracts, becomes that ultimate investment climate, you also need to have a strong bar. A strong bar that radiates and reflects that majesty of Kenya as a country. So that's what I believe myself. We really have to make the Law Society of Kenya strong, and it calls for new and strategic leadership, and that has been my vision. So I have 5 thematic areas of where I'm coming on board. One is ensuring that we have one Law Society of Kenya. 2, in terms of just deepening the space, the operating space for the Law Society of Kenya. What is it that we are not doing which we can do to improve our profile? And once you get the formula right, then you can be able to now talk about other issues. Such as if you want to, because if you don't get money to the Law Society of Kenya, you will not talk about devolving funds. There'll be nothing to devolve. Because the center will be fighting for everything. So what do we need to do to strategies to ensure that we get money to the Law Society of Kenya? Who do we need to talk to in terms of programs? If I have a program on climate change, and I want the Law Society of Kenya to be driving that program, because it is our responsibility under the Law Society of Kenya Act to develop the rule of law, to assist government. So what do we need to do? What are the strategic partnerships we need to create for us to achieve our objective? So once we fulfill our mandate, and myself, I know, knowing that 2 years is quite a little period of time, just planting the seed for growth. Planting the seed. We need to plant the seed for growth and implement what we can implement very quickly, and then and also work with the others so that we have a strong bar, a bar which is prestigious.
Just from what you said, 2 years is not such a long time.
And
you might even 5 years for our president is not such a long time for the country to grow. So does that bother you? Like, there's so much you might be able to start and leave them hanging, as we've seen in previous regimes. Is that a challenge, or how do you feel you go about that?
In institutional development, when you go into leadership, the best strategy is to develop that institution. Plant the seed for the development of that institution. 2 years may appear to be short, but it's actually a long period. You can do so many things within 2 years. And because we are one profession, we are not like we are distinct. You do what you can do best within 2 years, and then give the baton to the next persons when you have a proper foundation. And you will continue offering advice. So some of these programs, which if we create them on a sustainable manner, they will be independent of the transitional politics at the Law Society of Kenya. If you have a strong secretariat, strengthened to undertake rule of law based programs on climate change, adaptation, etc., the secretariat will be immune from the transitional politics. So we need to ensure that we develop an institution that does not suffer from those hiccups of transition. And that's one of the things which I want to do. Plant the seed for some of these structural reforms. For example, if I'm going to sign a program with the African Development Bank or the World Bank or the IDLO or the GIZ to support the Law Society of Kenya, you're going to support you're going to sign a program for 5 years. So that program will be implemented for a period of 5 years. Your term is only 2 years. So you set up structures, the Secretariat, to continue implementing that program. structures for monitoring and evaluation for that program to continue to be implemented for that longer duration. So that is possible. It can be done. We need to plant the seed.
Okay. Now that's a lot about Peter Wanyama as
Yes.
the advocate. So just a little bit about you. We know you're a husband, you're a father.
Yeah.
So maybe you can just tell us, what do you do outside work when you leave this office? Other than picking your children from school.
Yeah.
What else do you do?
Yeah, what I do myself, I'm a family man. I'm married with 3 beautiful children. So what I do, one is I drop them to school myself every day in the morning. I take them to school. Then I also try and pick them up sometimes if I don't have anything on my desk. I pick them up. So as a family man, I love contributing to humanity even outside the office. But my key hobbies, at 43, one of the hobbies that you develop when you get at my age, at 43, is health. I want to go to the gym at 4 a.m. to just learn how to carry something to keep fit. Yeah, because most of us neglect our health.
Yeah, true.
And then it turns out to be a disaster later on if you are diagnosed with a blood pressure problem and all that. So we must invest in health. I invest quite a lot in health. In my free time, I also watch movies. I like watching movies. I read quite a lot. Sometimes I take some time to read books outside the law. I don't. I investigate legal concepts in philosophy. I investigate legal concepts in history, in economics, and sometimes I find them there. So that is me in terms of my life outside.
Yeah, I've seen quite an interesting library here, other than Kenya law reports and stuff. That's really nice. So maybe just 2 final questions.
Yes.
The first one, if there's anything you could let people in the legal profession know about Peter Wanyama that we probably don't know, because what we mostly know is what we read on the newspaper and on social media and stuff like that. So one thing that you feel is important to you or defines you that most people don't know about, or something that just generally most people don't know about you. Yes, and then your final parting shot.
Thank you. What people don't know about me is that I have 2 deliberate personalities.
Deliberate being the keyword.
Yeah, deliberate personality. There's one personality which I use for the social media. So in the social media, people will think, Wanyama is arrogant, Wanyama is bossy, is all that. So it's a perception sometimes we create for strategic dominance. But I am actually very polite. I have a lot of things which I do behind the scenes to assist people. Which for privacy reasons I don't want to mention, like paying school fees for people. Whenever I get an opportunity, I do that. People request me assisting the vulnerable, widows, we do that. So I'm deeply compassionate. Maybe that people don't know. Yeah, unless you interact with me one-on-one. That's when you will discover that, this guy is a really compassionate individual. He's not the social media guy that we usually see. So that I can say is distinctive.
Wow. Okay. You had it here first, guys.
Yeah.
And then maybe you can just give us your final parting shot to anyone who's listening.
Yeah. My final parting shot really is that, especially to the lawyers, we need to create a society which is one. And myself is that no matter who is going to win this Law Society of Kenya elections, we need to remain united. We need to create a stronger bar. We need to make the bar a little bit prestigious. And we need to plant the seeds for that prestige. How do you plant the seed for prestige? Is that we need to ensure that no one is left behind. So no matter who wins the Law Society of Kenya president, myself, if I lose, I will support the winner. So that we are able to create a platform for multiple bases for improvement of our respective lives as lawyers, and also ensuring that the legal profession is prestige. I'm very keen about the prestige of the legal profession. We don't want people to ridicule us. They ridicule lawyers. Can you imagine a lawyer who doesn't have employment? A lawyer who is paid 15,000 shillings, and because we are not talking about it, a lawyer who is not within the legal profession, but because they cannot afford to pay their PC fees, a lawyer who is mistreated at work, a lawyer who feels really disenfranchised. You know, it's like you are tearing the legal profession apart. So we need to create a platform where we make one Law Society of Kenya. We need to redeem that Law Society of Kenya, which was there in the 1980s. Yeah, but now we are redeeming it in the context of modernity, yeah, and globalization, and the ability to fit in. So we must be ready to fit in this brave new world.
Thank you so much.
Asante.
Thank you so much. To those who joined us today, thank you so much for joining. That interview was nothing short of insightful and inspiring. For me as a young lawyer, I think most of the time I was just going way. So thank you guys once again. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel, and also just check out our page, The Lawyer Africa, the website. Then you can just be able to see what we do when it comes to ranking of lawyers, and also the podcast, and also our newsletters that are being rolled out at the moment. Thank you so much. Bye.